Hey everyone, happy Wednesday to you all. Thank you so much for coming in to watch this video, obviously, and spending time with me here. We're going to obviously go over a couple of things. We'll take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin miners really quick on today as far as charts. Then we'll take a look at Digihost provided us with their financial year-end numbers. We'll take a look at those. I have some questions for those. We'll get into it. And then we'll also take a look at BitDigital providing us with March update. And then we'll look at some metrics for the basically quarterly results on all the miners here. We'll look at some growth metrics. We'll look at some debt to equity ratios and other things as well, but that's coming towards the end of the video. Then we'll get into the Q&A. So we're also, 16 days away or so from, there's that thing. So we're getting closer, right? Miners had a pretty good day today, but we'll get into all that. But as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoyed this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And corrections will be posted to Discord, YouTube, and Twitter if there are any corrections to be made. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Let's take a look at the markets here really quick today. And we can see the Bitcoin was actually up today a little bit, right? We did have the nice rebound that we've seen in the past where we saw it back here. We saw it over here as well a little bit, right? We saw those kind of rebounds. We didn't get that, but we still got, we were up 0.8% on the day. We closed at 65,987. So we'll take it, right? A green day is a green day. We'll take it whenever we can get it. And then we're obviously up a little bit here in the new day as well. So we'll see how this continues going forward. Miners, on the other hand, as you can see here on the chart, or on the side here, had a pretty, for the most part, it was like split, right? Some were down, some were up. But it was overall not a bad day considering that Bitcoin was only up 0.8%. Some of these guys were up 5%, 4%, almost 5% as well. 3%, 5, almost 5.5 or so. So it wasn't too bad of a day on that. And we'll see how we continue going forward. Like I said, we're only like about 16 days away from the halving event. We're getting closer and closer, which is a good sign. And then we're getting, I think, past the pain point here. Once we do that, we may have a little pain after the halving event as well. But eventually, I think Bitcoin is going to continue to go up much higher along with the miners here. So let's take a look at the first story that we have here, really, which is going to be on Digihost. So Digihost announces 2023 year-end financial results and provides operational update. You guys can read all this stuff here. The only thing that I saw that was kind of nice down here was to their operational update, which was way down here. Let's see, where is it at? Where did I see it? There it is, operational update. Let's see here, hashing outlook. There it is. They're planning to possibly get to 4 exahash by the end of the year, so that we kind of like double where they are right now. But they also have hosting included in that, I believe, as well. Okay. So that's actually pretty good news there, that if they can do that, that I think would be kind of good. Still like to see them grow more than that, but we'll take what we can get out of these guys here. All right, let's take a look at the numbers that I have here for them, and we'll get into it here. So shares outstanding right now is about, I should have updated this. I didn't update this. I just remembered I didn't update it. So we'll update it now to 28. There we go. And then stock price hasn't been updated yet today. I will get that updated later on. But market cap is about 42 million right now. The performance over the last 12 weeks hasn't been that great. They're down 24% from 12 weeks ago, down 15% from 8 weeks ago, and down 13% from 4 weeks ago. Last week they were down actually up 6.57%. Okay, the main thing that we want to take a look at here is obviously the quarterly results here. And I'm drawing a blank, or I'm confused on the results here, to be quite honest. I don't know how they are accounting for Bitcoin, if they're including Bitcoin equivalents into their monthly reports for energy, things like that, because the numbers I have here are just all over the place, really. So they reported 10.78 million here in revenue, potentially, in Q4, right? We'll get into the numbers here down below here shortly. And I was off by like 2 million on them for this, for whatever reason. Current quarter, I'm guessing 9.7 million for self-mining, right? But that might be all over the place too. I'll explain why down below. Okay, last 4 quarters operating costs, that has been going up as well, which is kind of what we've expected to see here. Cost of mining one Bitcoin minus depreciation has come up a little bit here to 15.34. Bitcoin mine quarterly, this is obviously for self-mining side of things, has been going up a little bit here, so that's good there. Debt to equity, that came down to 2.8 or 0.28, sorry. Lower is obviously better here, and then current ratio, higher is better. They're at 0.59, that actually went down. We want that to actually go up. Total current assets went up a little bit here to 3.36 million from 3.4. And total current liabilities also increased to 5.61 million from 5.33 million, okay? Going down here, we'll get into some of these calculations that I do later on here. But here's what we have for them as far as current assets right now. It is at 2.19 million. So that's a decrease from the 3.3 million that they had prior. Total assets also decreased to 42 million from 47 million, right? So that's not a good sign there. Total current liabilities went down a little bit here to 5.2 million from 5.6. Total liabilities actually increased from 10.3 to 12.9 million, right? And then total liabilities and stakeholder equity went down to 42 million from 47 million. Now, here's where things get a little bit interesting. They reported here in fiscal year end numbers. It was, let me see here. Self-mining revenue for the year was 18.128 million. Okay. And then co-location services were 1.6 million. We don't have any data on this from their quarterly results on those numbers anywhere. And then sale of electricity was 3 million for the year. Sale of energy was 3.2 million. Right, we had that in here for the prior quarters, but they didn't include any of the co-location or sale of electricity in the prior quarters, the prior 3 quarters at least. So I can't figure out what that was for Q4. So I'm guessing that is what they reported for the fiscal year end, what was in the Q4 numbers for them, okay? Then, going down here, cost of revenue. They reported cost of power. So cost of revenue up here, I'm calculating based on what was included in here. So we have cost of power was 20 million. They did not, or at least cost of revenue, I think that's what they called it, was cost of revenue in the sheet. Let's go back to the sheet. I want to make sure that's what we're calling it. Let's see here, cost of revenue. Yep, that's what they called it this time around. Cost of revenue here, and not that one, this one. Cost of revenue, so that's up there. So this really should be like 0 here because they didn't provide that in the information. They didn't also provide other production costs. They didn't. They did provide obviously depreciation, amortization, minor lease agreement, but they didn't provide cost of power plant operations down here in the fiscal year. So I'm guessing that they probably put it all into the cost of revenue, right? Which then I think would include like cost of power, other production costs, minor lease agreements, and cost of power plant potentially, right? In the prior quarters where they actually separated it all out. So it makes it kind of challenging and tough to figure out what the actual number was, because if you look at cost of revenue here based on that, I mean that's basically a double from where it was in Q3 to Q4 based on the calculations here, just basically taking the cost of revenue and subtracting the other 3 quarters out. So I got to 8.9 million here. So I'm a little confused by this. This is definitely having a little wrench in my normal calculations. If things are being omitted, that's obviously making it a lot tougher on things. Also here, if we look at the revenue side of things, the 10.7 million in revenue, that's being calculated from taking the fiscal year end numbers and subtracting the prior 3 quarters. That's what we have here for revenues, and that kind of adds up to the 10.781 million here, right? But then when I go back up to my numbers here, I have them at about 8.4 million here in revenue for self-mining. So, and that obviously throws a big wrench into things. So I'm way off on that number there. And when we look at the joint venture here, they do have a joint venture. I'm calling it a joint venture, but I think it's just hosting partnership on it. I've really started calculating that through January through February and March as well. So we'll see if maybe my current quarter numbers will be better than what those are showing up as. Okay. And there was something else I think that was kind of off on here that was throwing me off. Let's see here. I think that was the main thing that was just messing me up here quite a bit. What else? Oh, here's the other one. Office and administrative expense. They reported 2.1 million here for the fiscal year end. They reported in Q1 467,000, Q2 814, and Q3 934,000. Meaning, if I take that, subtract these 3 quarters out of it, I actually have them at 107,000 positive. So either some of the numbers in here were not correct. Obviously, these were not audited numbers. These were just basically estimated numbers, I'm guessing. But that's throwing a wrench into my calculations as well, right? Having a positive office and administrative expense is not good. But that's the only way I could figure this out. And then what else was here? Write-off of property, plant, and equipment was down here, 1.3 million. Don't know if that was possibly being included in here as well before, because that's a new entry here. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with here with Digihost. It's kind of a mess, really. Unfortunately, I wish they would have just stuck to the way that they have done things before, but maybe the numbers were off here for Q3 and Q2 for GNA. Don't know. Okay. Going down here, professional fees also came way down here in Q4, which obviously would be good because they were going in the opposite direction. They were going up. So that would be a nice decrease there if that was the case, which I think it is because they're audited numbers now. And then we had also, let's see, regulatory fees went way down to 9.2 million from 20 million here. Or sorry, 9,000 from 20,000. What else do we have here that was kind of odd a little bit? I think that was it. So total income or income loss before taxes was negative 17 million. For the quarter, it looks like it was maybe 4.8 million loss. And then net loss came in at 21 million for the year, negative 7.4 roughly for Q4 here potentially, based on the numbers. And then going down here, we have they lost 77 cents per share. So it's kind of hard to tell which direction they're going based on the information that we do have here. Like I said, it's a little confusing at some of the things here for revenue and cost of goods. And we'll see if we can maybe figure this out going forward. But if you guys have any ideas as far as are they including like cost of power and let's see, revenue side of things, sale of energy, is that being included in like Bitcoin that they report, or sale of electricity, co-location, all these things obviously might be being added into their Bitcoin production potentially, right? But that's kind of throwing me off here. But overall, based on all these numbers here, the cost of my one Bitcoin mine's depreciation was about 14.8 thousand that I could figure out, calculate, based on the numbers that I do have for them, okay? And then obviously you guys can see all the different other stuff here. General administrative compensation, obviously pretty low here, 2.75%, and that's based on them having only a negative 296,000 in costs. Because if we include share-based compensation and the deposit of 107,000 for office administration, they got paid to be there, or they were paying to be there, I guess. That's kind of the numbers that I'm getting here. So I think those numbers are off, and that's why it's throwing my other numbers off as well. Okay, but that's it for Digihost. Let me know what you guys think of them. Obviously, they're one of the smaller miners that we track here. And let's get into the next story here, which is going to be on BitDigital really quick. And we'll get into some of the metrics as well. So BitDigital Inc. announces monthly production updates for March 2024. Highlights are as such. In March, the company produced 136.4 BTC, a 6% increase compared to the prior month, which is good. The company active hash rate was approximately 2.76 exahash as of March 31st, which was fine. BTC holdings was 956.6, nice increase there as well. And the company had cash and cash equivalents of 34.9 million as of March. And then they got the proof of staking for ETH. And then BitDigital AI update, they currently have 251 servers actively generating revenue, and estimated about 4.3 million in unaudited revenue right now for that. So that's definitely going to be helping them out, right? But we need to see what the profit margins are on that, and we should get that in the next couple of weeks when they report the Q1 results on that one. Okay, so let's go back to BitDigital here. BitDigital has about 107 million shares outstanding right now. Stock price probably is maybe higher or lower from where it's at. This is from yesterday. Market cap is about 263 million right now. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been okay, right? It hasn't been too bad. 12 weeks ago, they're down 19%. 8 weeks ago, they're up 12%. 4 weeks, they're up 5.9%. And last week, they were up 20.08%. Right? And I think that was mainly because they reported that they're possibly going to be increasing their AI business by another 50 million to potentially 100 million in revenue per year, right? So that was obviously a good thing that kind of boosted the stock up last week. Current hash rate 2.7, future hash rate 2.79, so they're pretty much close to being fully installed, but they do have plans to double that or grow to 6 exahash by the end of the year, right? But they haven't reported on any of the purchases yet, and that's kind of what I go by. HODL 956 right now, that's valued at about 64 million, so that's good there. You can see that their production here has increased to 136 Bitcoin from 128, so that's good there. Monthly revenue has also increased nicely here to 9.23 million, right? That's obviously the benefit of Bitcoin going up to over 70,000. BTC HODL has been also increasing ever since October, which is also nice to see. That's their, over the last 12 months, that is their highest they've been at. Then we got hash rate here, kind of flat here over the last 2 months. I think they increased it just a little bit. I'm not really even counting that. And then monthly hash rate is flat. I mean, they're up, I think, maybe, 60 petahash, not even that, less than that possibly, something like that. BTC sold, obviously they've been selling a lot less here recently, which is good. BTC per exahash efficiency up to 49.96. I think they might be like one of the top ones here for the month so far at least. And then we got the BTC sold value, how much they sold. Going down here to institutions. Institutions stay the same as far as numbers concerned, 160. Shares did increase here a little bit to 46.75 million from 46.6 million. Percentage also went down, so there was dilution, obviously, 43.87% from 51.3%. We still have one strong buy rating. We had one increase in the buy rating to 3 now from 2, and the price targets actually came down for the high to $6, the average to $5.08, and the low stayed the same at $4.50 on that one. Going down here, as far as the operation side of things, I did add $404,000 for Bitcoin transaction fees, and it looks like they were operating for about 30.97 days out of the month, so almost like 100% uptime here, it looks like, on that. And that got us to the 9.234 million in revenue based on the average Bitcoin price here in March, which got us to here as well based on what they reported of mining. So those are all looking good. Now, based on the numbers here that they reported for March, multiply that times 12 months going forward, if everything stayed the same, we're looking at about 55 million. That gives us price target on them between $3.87 to $5.81. They're currently at $2.46. I think they're still undervalued from where they really should be. And if we look at the last 3 quarters plus the current quarter that we're in right now, or actually finished through March, they should be between $4.09 to $6.14. So I do think that they are undervalued. Okay, so that is it for Bit Digital, where they stand right now. Right, the nice thing is obviously revenues are increasing. BTC HODL is increasing as well as we get into the halving event. Hash rate has been growing as well. I would expect that to continue to grow here going forward. And they've been selling obviously less Bitcoin here. So a lot of good things here happening for Bit Digital right now. All right, so let me know what you guys think of them in the comments. And then let's get into some metrics here. I've been working on these for a while, and I wish I had more time. I just don't have as much time as I would like. But here's some things that I'm working on to kind of put as much of the information in one sheet as possible, right? Instead of having to go from one sheet to the other sheet. So we're going to look at revenue growth here, quarter over quarter, revenue growth year over year, and then cost of revenue quarter over quarter. And I possibly could maybe put in there also the revenue or cost of revenue year over year, see how that's doing. But looking at revenue growth here, quarter over quarter, we can see here that probably the best one here has been Riot Platforms. They're up 92% in revenue, and this is for self-mining only for all these guys. Next would be probably DMG blockchains, up 80%. Obviously, DMG is pretty smaller, so any major increases to them is going to have a huge impact on them. And then after that, we have probably Marathon, I think, would be in the third spot here at 60%. So you can see how that one plays out. Going down the list here, we got Bittier 55, BitDigital at 39, Bitfarms 34, Cypher 43, Cleanspark 40. Also, Argo is still old data. I have not received their end of year numbers yet, or Q4 numbers. So that's still from Q3 to Q2 comparison on that one. Let's see, CORZ Scientific up 35, Cleanspark up 40%, Digihost up only 4%, DMG up 80, Hive up 34, Hut 8, no data on them because they provided the financial results for the 6 months of USBTC and 1 month of Hut 8 in there, right? So all my data is kind of messed up on that one right now, so there's no data on them. Iris Energy up 22, Marathon up 60, Mawson 2, Riot Platforms, like I said, 92, Sphere 40, Stronghold 19, and Turbo 23. Now, revenue growth year over year. Like I said, Argo is old data here, about a quarter old. Bittier, I don't have any data on them because they became public here, I believe, right around the second quarter of 2023. BitDigital and so on. Again, Hut 8, no data here, but you can see here Spheres had the most percentage or highest revenue growth year over year, but they've also been pretty small. I think they started at like 100 petahash, and they went up to, what is it, like 1 exahash, 1.2 exahash or something like that. So that obviously was the huge growth there for them. Other than that, it was Marathon up 452% here, followed by potentially DMG here up 311%. And then who else do we have here that's probably kind of high here? Iris Energy up 210%, TeraWolf 143%, Cleanspark up 165%, BitDigital up 106%. So we've definitely seen some huge growth from these miners as well. And then cost of revenue here, obviously we would like to see revenues or cost of revenues go down, but as the miners are growing, we're obviously going to see huge rises in that. And we could see here that based on the information, we see Digihost with the highest increase in cost of revenue over quarter. And that's because they've been operating a new, well, not a new, but they bought a electrical plant. So I think that's the reason why that's having a huge impact on them. Other than that, Marathon is probably the next one here at 43, followed by, who do we have here? What is that? Mawson, 26%. And then everybody else, you can see how that numbers stack up over here on this side. And then just going down here really quick to debt to equity ratio, current ratios, see how those stack up. The ones in red obviously are not good looking. Debt to equity ratios, we want those lower to be lower than 1 typically. So the closer you get to the bottom here, the better things are looking. And we got Riot Platforms at 0.6. We got Marathon at 0.23. Iris at 0.9. Cleanspark at 0.6. So all these guys here that are below 1 or closer to like 0 are doing really good as far as their financial health is doing. And then current ratios, we obviously want those to be above 1 potentially and better, right? So the ones that are below that are in red here. You can see that we have Argo. Argo obviously is old data. CORZ Scientific is at 0.2. Digihost at 0.42. Mawson 0.38. Stronghold 0.5. TeraWolf is at 0.4. That's because of the data, the debt that they have, but they're paying that down, so that's good there. We'll see if they can get that paid off in the next couple quarters. And then obviously Marathon here has the biggest hodl or biggest stash, I guess you could say, compared to their debt at 30.51 ratio here. So they can pay their debt off over 30 times. And everybody else here that at least is at like 1 or 2 or 2 and above, I think are doing pretty good here, right? So that is it. I'm going to try and continue to build this out to add more data for you guys. But time has been obviously a constraint. I wish I could maybe replicate myself and add another hand to help out. But I don't think that's going to happen here. So let's get into the questions here. Questions are obviously a little bit delayed, so give me a little time to get to them. I will get to all the questions that we do get through here. And we'll see where that leads us to. And yeah, that is it. So let's get into Q&A here. All right, Q&A time. Let me go over to my screen here, and we'll see what kind of questions you guys have here. Let's see. Let's see. All right, we got a question here already. So Jen Pell asks, question, Bitfarms announced it will invest nearly $240 million to upgrade its Bitcoin mining equipment. Do you know if they are already fully funded? I know that they have the ATM for, what is it, $375 million or something like that. I don't know if they've pulled on it already to fund all that. But I think that's what the ATM is for, right? I'm pretty sure that's what the ATM is for, is to build out infrastructure, to build out buildings, things like that, and to buy the miners as well. So we'll see. But that should be coming up here. I would really like to see them actually report that they are fully funded in the next couple of weeks, potentially. I think that'd be great for the stock. Let's see here. Why do you think IREN fell almost 6% today? I think that is just mainly the market, right? They had a nice rally last week when they reported they were fully funded to 20 exahash, right? That drove the stock up for like 2 days or something like that. And I think just right now with Bitcoin coming down, it's just people maybe taking profits, a little freaked out. That's kind of what's happening there. Let's see. Question, where do you see Bitfarms stock price if Bitcoin hits 100,000? I mean, right now that's what, roughly 40% increase or something like that, right? 50% would be, well, it might be actually 50%. We're at 65, that'd be 30%, 30,000. Yeah, so I mean, that's 50% increase. We're looking at maybe at that point, they should be probably at least 3x from where they are right now, right? But that all depends on how well they can build out and everything else. Let's see. Question, what kind of tool are you using to show the numbers and chart spreadsheets? It's all through Apple Numbers. Apple Numbers is the equivalent to Microsoft Excel, but I found it to be much easier to use, and it's also much for displaying data and manipulating data for these kind of info charts and things like that. I think it's better suited for that potentially. And then also having multiple tables is just great for that. Let's see. Let's see. Thank you for all you do. Family, time, job, and putting on multiple videos a day would burn me out. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Where are we? There we go. What are your thoughts about diversifying opportunities in AI HPC? So AI obviously is HPC, high performance computing. You're still kind of using the same thing. You're using graphics cards, whereas AI, you're using more specific graphic cards. And as far as miners diversifying into it, I think that is yet to be seen, right? It's still early stages where a lot of the miners are kind of like canaries in the coal mine right now. as far as how profitable those things will be for them. So I think investors are also a little skeptical right now, but they want to see at least a quarter. A quarter, I think, will do it. A quarter of financial results on AI business. How profitable is it? And at that point, we may see some uptick in some of the miners that are actually doing it on that. Let's see here. Conservative price for Bitfarms by the end of the year, please. Oh, if they can get to 21 exahash by the end of the year, Bitcoin goes up to, let's say, 150,000 at least. I would say that they should be at least 3 to 6x from where they are right now, right? If they can do that, maybe even more. If they say that they're fully funded to it by within the next couple of weeks, that should pump the stock at that point, and then them growing to 21 exahash, I think will have a positive impact on it. Okay. A question, what's your exit strategy? Do you have a price in mind for each? Will you hold laggards longer, sell Cleanspark early, for example? My exit strategy is, kind of dollar cost average out as we're going in. Probably start selling some of the mining stocks maybe at around 125, 150,000, depending on how well they're doing. And then we'll kind of just slowly exit out, right? I don't know where the top is going to be. I don't think anybody knows, right? The top could be 158,000. It could be 148,000. Or it could go up to 300,000. We just don't know. And then I don't know if I'm going to hold on to the laggards. I think I'll just probably start dollar cost averaging out of all of them maybe. But we'll have to see how they perform, right? If Cleanspark obviously outperforms the other guys that I own, Bitfarms and IREN, maybe I will start selling that one before the others, give those a little bit more time potentially. But I think like the bigger ones that have the potential, Marathon, Riot, Cleanspark, IREN, Bitfarms, they might run faster potentially than some of the other ones. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Let's see. Do you think the miners will generally fall into the halving and or sometime after the halving? Historically, they have, right? So that's kind of what we were expecting this time around. The only thing that threw a wrench into everything was the spot Bitcoin ETFs and the possibility of those, right? So it's been a different cycle this time around. But last cycle, we had the miners falling into the halving event. They kind of stalled a little bit after the halving, maybe fell a little, like 1 or 2%, nothing major, and then they rallied after that. So we may see the same thing happening here, at least as we get closer. We're 16 days away or so. We still might have some falls in the miners, unless Bitcoin starts going up. At that point, that might pick up the miners as it is. Let's see. Did Wolf make a payment against their debts, Sebastian? I have not heard anything from that, right? They reported their numbers here recently, but I didn't see anything in that. They did state that they're going to be paying, 20, 30 million or something like that in April from the revenue in Q1, all right? But I haven't seen anything on that one. Let's see, what else do we have here? I think that is it. I think we're pretty much caught up. If you guys don't have any other questions, we'll call it a day. But we'll see where everything goes. Obviously, with Bitcoin, we're still, like I said, 16 days away from the halving event. Anything is possible with it. It could drop a little bit more. It could start to skyrocket. So it will definitely be interesting. Oh, there we go. Just curious, have you ever quantified the correlation between the miners and Bitcoin over a period of time, let's say a year? Some miners are much strongly correlated with Bitcoin than others. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to take it as a case-by-case basis on the miners compared to Bitcoin. We've seen, obviously, some miners outperform already this past year. Cleanspark, Mawson, there are a couple of them that have outperformed, obviously, Bitcoin from their 52-week lows to where they are right now. So there is definitely a strong correlation. I think the correlation gets even stronger after the halving event, as we've seen historically. So at that point, historically, Bitcoin's done, let's just say 2x. The miners have done like 6x, right? On average. Some might do better, some might do worse, but on average is like 6x of that. Let's see. Are you still buying miners? Yeah, I bought, I put in my allotment for this week on Monday. When Bitfarms came down, I bought some more Bitfarms and IREN as well. So I'm pretty much done for this week. Next week, I'll buy some more potentially. Let's see. Does Riot have any fundamental problems? Why does the stock price be far behind? They have fundamental problems with their Rockdale facility. Main issue there is their curtailing. They're curtailing a lot, and it just doesn't seem to add up why they're curtailing so much. They say that they have a PPA in place for, can't remember, I'm going off the top of my head here, 435 megawatts or 345 megawatts, I can't remember which one it is, somewhere around there. But they have access to all that, and then after that, they have to pay the prevailing market prices of electricity. And that's when they say that they curtail, because I guess it doesn't make sense for them. Plus, they've had issues with miners there as well. I think some of the miners got damaged. after the storm of, when was that, in January or December of last year. So almost pretty much now a year and plus some from then. So with the new facility, Corsicana facility, those things should be solved there. It's all immersion cooling there. And Jason has said that they have access to all the power that they need. But they will curtail some, but not as, they're hoping not as much as they have done in Rockdale. So that would be a good sign there. Okay, question. When does Wolf sell their Bitcoin once they mine it? Right away? I think so. I think they pretty much sell it as they mine it each day. That's at least the way that it's been explained. That's the way Paul explained it to the CEO, right? That they're there to mine Bitcoin and they sell it right away, I think. Let's see here. I'm not getting into politics. Let's see here. How many shares of IREN do you own? Less than 1,000. I started buying into November, December of last year, and I've been slow to get into them. I've been trying to get more Cleanspark and more Bitfarms. So now I'm trying to maybe move over more into IREN side of things. Getting pretty full on Bitfarms now, where I want to be. I still have a couple thousand more shares that I would like to get on that one, but other than that, it's going to be going more and more towards IREN. How long is the dilution for Cleanspark? You're talking about the 800 million? Don't know. Depending how fast they pull on it. The previous 500 million, they pulled that off within 3 months, right? So it could be 3 to 6 months, I'm guessing, for that dilution, or they might be just holding it right now, seeing where things go. They're fully funded with miners to get to 50 exahash, I believe, right? On that one. So we'll just have to see. Let's see here. I just looked at the past data for Wolf, and it hit $40 last cycle. My question is, now that it is a lot better than past years, shouldn't it not hit a much higher price? I think Wolf didn't become a miner until 2022, I want to say, for some reason. I don't think they were a miner back then. I think they merged or something like that, right? So the stock shouldn't be looked at from prior cycles on that one. Let's see. It seems like many of the miners hit a really high price. So my thinking is that now that many of them are in much better place now than the past year, wouldn't they all not make a good run? They should make a good run after the halving event. That's kind of what we're all kind of anticipating there. Let's see here. Question. One of your older videos, you showed us the miners in one sheet showing the estimated future price. Can you show it again? Yeah, I'll do that again. And I just got all the, well, not all. I'm missing Argo for the quarterly results. I may just omit Argo if they don't report it within the next couple of days, but I'll probably work on that over this weekend and see where things might go based on some assumptions, if they can get to their growth targets for this year, where Bitcoin could possibly go, where the network hash rate could possibly go. We can kind of see where maybe the stock might be at that point. Right, so we'll do that again. Question, how can we measure the efficiency of the miners? Is it cost to mine Bitcoin or joules per terahash? Efficiency of the miners? Are you looking at the individual miners themselves or their fleet? If you're looking at their efficiency of their fleet, you want to look at joules per terahash. You can also look at cost to mine Bitcoin, right? That's kind of efficiency side of things there. You can also look at efficiency side of things. What's their uptime, right? If somebody's operating at close to 100%, they're going to be able to pay off those machines much faster than somebody else, or get an ROI on those machines much faster than somebody that's operating at like 80% or 60% uptime, right? That's also important to take a look at. Let's see here. What is your price average for IREN? It's like $3. No. Yeah, it's like $3 something, $3.50 something right now. I think you mentioned buying more Cleanspark around 15. With the recent dilution, do you still see value at 16 share entry? Yeah, if you got in much higher, definitely get in while you can at these prices, because I don't know if it's going to go down even to 15, go down to maybe 10. We don't know. It could start rallying back up. My whole thought process has been for the past 2 years and 3 months was buy the dips, whatever the price is at that point. And that's worked out really well for me. Some of you guys are getting into it now recently, right? You've seen obviously a huge run up in some of the miners, and people are getting in. Some people got in at $22, $23 into Cleanspark, and now they're kind of a little PO'd about it, right? Because the stock has pulled back. So anytime I see a pullback on a stock, I look at it as a buying opportunity on that one. Now I'm curious, how many Cleanspark shares do you have? I have, I don't know if I want to say it. I'll say it. I got 10,000 shares of that one. But I've been, like I said, I've been buying it for 2 years plus. Let's see. I've been loading up on BitDeer, Bad Idea, or Good Idea. They have a lot of good things happening for them. Their own ASIC machines that they're building for themselves and selling. Their growth plans have been improved a little bit here for this year, potentially. But a lot of the growth plans are not until like 2025, 2026. That's the only thing that I could possibly say as a negative to them. But they also have a lot of business segments there. And, I wish they would kind of maybe, what's the word I'm looking for here? Concentrate more on their self-Bitcoin mining a little bit. But, yeah. Let's see. Question. After you've sold this cycle, do you plan to DCA the same stocks to prepare for the next BTC halving? No. We'll have to take a look at it to see how they are operating, right? How are they doing on the metrics? All those things are still important. So even though Cleanspark has been my clear winner here for the past 2 years, as far as metrics and things like that, will that continue going forward as they get much larger? Potentially not, right? We may have some other entrants that are going to be doing better, that may have better growth plans. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. That's not something that's going to be that easy. Shouldn't say easy. It's definitely going to be challenging to figure out who's going the best, but that's why I track them monthly, quarterly, daily, or not daily, but much as daily as we can, but just to see how they're progressing compared to the prior month, prior couple months, prior half a year, 1 year, and see that way how things are progressing. And then that will tell me which miners I want to get into again. Let's see. Hi, Seb. If you have some reserves to buy shares in today's date, what would be a good buy? Cleanspark or Bitfarms? Both, actually, because Cleanspark's definitely come down in price from 23. It's at $16 now, so I think that's a good entry point as well. Bitfarms also, I think, is a good entry point. They still have a lot of growth. The main things you want to look for is companies that have good growth, good operations, good uptime, healthy balance sheets, and that's basically what you want to really look for. And for them to also execute on their growth, when they say they're getting to X, did they actually get to X? All those things are important. Sebastian, are you paid by Cleanspark? No, I'm not paid by any miners. I've said this before. You guys here on Patreon and YouTube members, you guys are my bosses. So I want to keep like a wall, right? A firewall between me and the miners. That way I can freely praise them or bash them when needed, right? And I don't have to fear about them not paying me or something like that, right? That way. Plus, when I have I'm not a journalist really. I'm data analyst more or less, you could say. But I want to keep my integrity in that spot. So I've been offered to go to Riot, right? They offered to pay my accommodations, airfare, things like that. I refused. I said, I can't do that. If I was going to go and visit their site, I would pay it out of my own pocket just to take a look at it, right? But I wouldn't take any money from them. I don't get any swag from any of the miners or anything like that. And that's going to continue on. So I also get offers for, these altcoins and these different exchanges and things like that. They want to do paid sponsorships or something like that. I don't do that either, because if I don't use it, I'm not going to, hack that stuff onto you guys and ruin my reputation that way. So that's never going to happen. Let's see. Have you seen any significant changes in short interest on the miners recently? We'll probably track, we'll take a look at it once all the miners report their March updates, and then we'll take a look at it to where those things stand at. I always look at it monthly, and we have been seeing the actual shorts come down here a little bit, I think, in the last, let's take a look at it here. I don't want to give you something that I'm not sure of. Let me see here. Where's it at? Shorted. Okay. Let's see if I have it over the last month or month over month here. Over the last 4 weeks. Okay. So here's a screen of that. Here's price change percent from 4 weeks ago. Number of shares shorted from last time. So you can see that we have some getting a little bit more shorted here, like Core, BitDigital. This was from probably the middle of March figures that I have for them. And at that time, we were seeing this share shortage coming down on a lot of these miners here, okay? Where we've seen maybe slight increases in some of them, but more increases in others. So that's kind of where we're at with it. So we'll take a look at it when it does happen again, when we do track those. Let's see. Sebastian, you see Cleanspark going to 11. It's possible. Anything's possible with the miners. I mean, you could have a day where they go down 30, 40, 50%. So anything is possible with this. You know, it just all depends on where Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin drops a little bit more, we could possibly see it. I'm not saying it's out of the question, but at that point, it's like I said, if you DCA, and it's a buying opportunity. You know, I've always been greedy when others have been fearful, and I've been fearful when others have been greedy, and that's kind of the way I'm going to continue to do those. Let's see here. Which brokerage do I use, and why did you choose them? I use a couple of brokerages. I'm not going to say which ones, so I don't get hacked, but I use a couple of them. Okay, what are your favorite tech stocks to roll into after selling miners, Tesla, Palantir, CrowdStrike, or what do you like long term? One of the ones that I'm thinking about is, and you guys might have been bashed before this, is Rivian, right? They have pretty good growth plans going forward. I think it's a much longer term play, potentially 5, 10, 15 years out. So I wouldn't mind putting in maybe, you know, getting 10,000 shares in that one or something like that, see where that goes in the next 10, 15 years. Other than that, we'll have to see where Tesla goes. Also, Tesla has been beaten down here recently. I'd like to also diversify a little bit, maybe even get into real estate. You know, we'll have to see. Question here. I'm invested in 2 miners, Cypher and Bitfarms. Please assess these investments and possible conservative price targets. Thank you, Sebastian. So Cypher and Bitfarms, I think, are great, right? They've been growing. They have good growth plans. Cypher, I think, doesn't have really growth until 2025, but they have the option to grow more this year if they build out their infrastructure, which I think they will execute on. So I think those two are fine. And, you know, Bitcoin goes up 2x. Those guys should be going at least, you know, 4, 6x, if not higher than that, depending where Bitcoin goes. But it's tough to give actual stock prices on those, where they could be. Let's see here. Bitfarms, or sorry, not Bitfarms, BTBT, that's BitDigital or Wolf, after your honest opinion, not financial advice, of course. BitDigital, the question with them is the AI side of things. How profitable is that? I think if that shows to be pretty profitable, I think that stock is going to do very well. Wolf is also getting into AI as well. Wolf has more of a growth strategy, right? 20 exahash by the end of the year, compared to BitDigital, which only has 6 exahash. And if Bitcoin gets above 100,000, I think at that point, Bitcoin mining is more profitable than AI. So based on that, I would probably say maybe, or sorry, I got mistaken. You were talking about Wolf, not IREN. I was thinking about IREN. Wolf has some growth plans. They have the debt, obviously. It's a toss-up right now between those two, I guess. Maybe get into both a little bit, maybe. Yeah, that's interesting though. Sorry, I messed that up. I thought you were talking about IREN. IREN's going to 20 exahash. Wolf is only getting to currently what they have purchased. Let me see, where's Wolf getting to on that one? Look at my sheet here, my cheat sheet. Where is it at? TerraWolf, there they are. They're currently supposed to get to about, well, they're almost there, 8.3 exahash, something like that. I think they stated they want to get to like 10 exahash and potentially even more than that going forward to like 16 exahash or something like that. So they do have growth there as well. Okay. Is Hive still a good investment? You know, Bitcoin going up, I think is going to kind of raise all boats, Hive along with it. But Hive has stated, as I've stated before, that they want to maintain 1% of the Bitcoin network hash rate as far as their operations. So they don't want to be the top dog, right? So for that reason, I think they're not going to operate they're going to operate great. They have great operations, but I don't think they're going to do as well as some of the other mining stocks that are looking to get to 20, 30, 40 exahash. Sebastian, what do you think of Riot? Riot has issues, like I've said before, right, with Rockdale facility. If they can get those issues fixed there and build out their Corsicana, which might have a lot more uptime, I think they're going to do really, really well there. But obviously, right now, the hosting side of things is money-losing business for them. If they can get out of that as fast as possible, that would be great. So we'll see how they can do all those things. I think those contracts are not due until like next year or the year after on some of those. Let's see here. So would you like to race in our new Ferraris if we make a good exit on the miners this cycle? Yeah, I'm not buying Ferraris. I'm not spending money on things that don't appreciate. I've learned that the hard way over many years. So not doing that. I will buy myself a little car that I like, that I've wanted to have for a long time. It's one of those, what's it called now? The Cobras. Yeah, gosh, what's it called? I'm trying to blank. It'll come back to me. But it's like $50,000 or something like that, 50, 60,000. It's a kit car. But I think that thing would be kind of cool to have in the summers. Let's see. What else do we have here? What did you think of Hut recent interview with Bryce and Anthony? I think he did better than the first interview, to be honest, and the interview since then. But I still don't see them looking to grow much in other self-mining, right? They're talking about using the cash that they have as strategically as they can with as little expense as possible to get ROI in it as fast as possible. And he's also talking about waiting to get miners because miners might be coming down in price. I don't know. It's going to be tough for them. We'll see how they do. Right now, I'm still waiting to get like a full quarter of the combined company. I mean, the last results that we got was a joke. We got 6 months of US BTC information in there and only 1 month of Hut 8. So you really can't tell how the combined company is doing. Let's see here. Sebastian, have you thought that they front ran the halving with the miners? You mean investors? I think the spot Bitcoin ETF is what caused the front running with all of it. Everybody was thinking Bitcoin's going to go much higher. I think it's still going to go much higher from where it's at, but that has obviously changed the dynamics around the halvings events that we've seen in the past. Like we said before, last cycle, the miners were going down into the halving. We're not seeing that now. Bitcoin has never reached a new all-time high prior to the halving event, right? It's a different cycle. Let's see. Trying to see if there's any other questions. I think we're catching up here. Let's see. Okay. Have you recently changed your mind on your current top 5 miners? Riot, Laggy, Mara, poor management, Wolf, Cypher doing good, etc. I mean, obviously, Marathon has issues. Riot has issues, but I think they can get those issues resolved. That would still kind of make me think that they would possibly be in the top 5, right? Because they have the cash to do it, to fix things and grow further. And they've been in this space for a long time. They just need to fix their operation side of things. Then you got Cleanspark. Cleanspark's been, going gangbusters. They're doing great. No worries there. Then you could really put in there in the 3rd spot or 4th spot, 5th spot, whatever. You could put in there Bitfarms, IREN, Wolf, Cypher as well, right? It's just now a battle to see who can get to their target exahash by the end of the year. So if IREN can do it, or Bitfarms, or Wolf, or Cypher, I think those are kind of the ones you want to be in. And then we have CORZ, obviously, which is way undervalued right now, but they were out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. People are skittish to get back into them, so we'll see how they do. They could be also in there. So you might have like a top 8 miners that are going to be doing really well this cycle. Let's see. Any future plans on covering some of the grayscale opportunities with this sector, like the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust or the ETFs? I'm not sure what you mean. Will energy curtailment become a global phenomenon due to the high demand of electrification to reduce CO2 emissions? We have already seen some miners affected by it already. Not much surplus. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work out. I know there's still plenty of electricity everywhere. I think in some regions it's obviously being affected more so than other regions. Texas, ERCOT is one of those regions where you curtail more because of pricing and things like that, just to strain on the grid itself. So we'll see. Let's see. Okay, just curious why you use 50 and 75% of revenue to calculate price targets. Wouldn't it be more accurate if you use the actual cost of operation to calculate future PE for the company? So I'm basing it more on future looking than on things, right? As Bitcoin goes up like we are right now, we're seeing some miners at like 50% gross profit, right? And 75% will be there shortly, not too far in the distance. That's kind of what I've been basing it on. And that's actually worked out really well over the last 2 years for me as far as where I think they should be. And it also kind of helps me determine which ones are more undervalued than others potentially on it. And right now we're kind of seeing some of the miners that Marathon, Riot, Cleanspark, and others are kind of well valued right now. They've come down obviously from then, but those price targets have worked out pretty well for me right now. So I'm not going to change that unless I find maybe a different model for it. Let's see. Trying to find a question here. You guys are having a pretty interesting chat there. You seem very conservative in your price projections. Last cycle, they went to 20 to 40x from bottom to top. Why are you more cautious this time? Dilution? Well, dilution is part of it, but I'm also just, I don't want to be the moon boy here. I want to be more realistic on where we could possibly get to. If we get beyond those price targets, it's all gravy for us. It's all better, right? And we'll just see how things go going forward. But I don't want to be, like I said, the moon boy. Have you ever covered where Biden's budget proposal, where he calls for a 30 tax on crypto mining? Yeah, I've covered that before. And I think it's a nothing burger, really. It hasn't last time. It's the second time that they tried it. Last time it didn't get into the House or Senate for a vote or anything like that, or even into a bill or anything. If it even gets that far, if it gets passed, it's going to get struck down in the courts because it's just, it's egregious against one industry over all the other industries that use electricity. So I don't think it's going to pass. Thoughts on Stronghold? Will they be in the top 7? Oh, that would be a monumental hill for them to climb to get to that. Maybe with their carbon capture stuff that they're doing, that might give them more revenue. We'll have to see how that works out for them. But other than that, I'll be surprised if they make it the next couple of years, to be honest. Let's see. When do you eventually sell your mining positions? Will you be selling everything or sell some and hodling some? So I'll be dollar cost averaging out. Same thing as I did when buying into them. I'll be doing the opposite as we go up. Probably as we get closer to 125,000 Bitcoin, 150, whatever it might be, I'll start slowly selling out at that point. See, because I don't know where the top's going to be. I don't think anybody knows. Do you expect the pullback to continue after having potentially? We might see a pullback. I wouldn't expect a major pullback. I think maybe the miners might be a little flat for a while. Am I invested in Riot? No, I only own Cleanspark right now, Bitfarms, and IREN. The reason I did not get into Riot is because of their operations, right? We've seen over the last last year, the year before, where they're curtailing a lot more and things like that. Plus, the hosting was losing business or losing money. So that's the reason I didn't get into them. Let's see. Okay. Oh, sorry. This one. Sebastian, why didn't you sell any around 25? I'm a long-term investor. I guess 2 years is pretty long, right? I've been dollar cost averaging for 2 years now. Why would I sell at 25 when we had no inclination that the stock was going to go much lower, right? So I don't day trade. I just buy and hold. If we get buying opportunities, stock goes down, I buy more. And I can sleep better that way. I don't have to worry about it. I just continue to accumulate, and eventually I will start selling, but this is not the time to sell for me, at least. Let's see here. Cleanspark already has machines to expand to 50xs. They will first need infrastructure to expand. By the time they reach 50xs, we will already be in the beginning of the next bear market. Yeah, potentially. Or we may not have a bear market, right? With the spot Bitcoin ETFs, we could see the same thing that we saw with gold, where the miners or gold was going up in price for several years. So we shall see. Okay, I think I caught up to all your guys' questions here. If you guys don't have any questions, I think we'll call it a day. We've been going on this for, how long have we been going? Almost an hour, looks like. Maybe, yeah, I think almost an hour. Oh, we got a question here. Not that one. This one. Question, we've got a few weeks to go before the halving. Bitfarms IREN recent drops. Are you thinking to purchase more? If so, has priority changed following IREN news? Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to get a little bit more IREN, but I've been buying Bitfarms. I bought Bitfarms this week along with IREN, and that might flip. I want to get a little bit more, a couple more thousand shares of Bitfarms, and then I'm going to start buying more into IREN as well. The IREN great news was obviously that they're providing quarterly results. I would still like to see them maybe hodl a little bit into the halving, but I mean, halving is 16 days away, so not much that can be done there. Well, okay, you guys have a couple more questions. What miner do you like more, Bitfarms or IREN? Currently, Bitfarms. They're hodling a little bit more. IREN obviously has pretty good growth along with Bitfarms. So we'll see, right? In the past, IREN didn't report quarterly results. They are going to be doing that, so that's a good thing. IREN doesn't hodl anything. I'd like to see maybe a hodl there as well. But other than that, they both operate really well. It's a toss-up right now. Let's see. Thank you, everyone. Let's see here. I think I caught up. What PE would you expect the miners to get to this cycle? Last cycle, they got up to 30, 35, 40 PE. We might see that again this time around. Mawson has really old miners, but what is your opinion on the quality of their infrastructure acquisition target? Yeah, I mean, that's something that's going to be a possibility there. We saw Cleanspark buy their miners back, or their facility back in 2022, right? One of those. And they've done a fantastic job growing that out. So they do have some infrastructure that might be good acquisition targets there. Let's see here. Do you think the next bear market will start with China and Taiwan in 2027? You're talking about the general market in general. I mean, China seems to be kind of, right now from what I'm reading and seeing, they're kind of insulated as their downturn is right now, right, with the housing and everything else that they got going on. So we'll see if that spills over to the rest of the globe. Okay, let's see here. That is it. We are done, guys. All right. Thank you so much for coming in. As always, you guys know the drill here. Where am I at here? Okay. You guys know my little sales pitch, and this is really my only thing that I sell to you guys is the access to my spreadsheets, which is through Patreon, right? None of the miners pay me. Like I've said before, I don't take any sponsorships or anything like that would cause you guys harm or get scammed or something like that. So you guys are my bosses, right? I work for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoy all the access that I give you guys to all the spreadsheets, the videos, everything else. If you do, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. Link for the Patreon membership is down in the description. That's still $8 a month. There might be a couple spots open at 5 and 4, and you get access to our private Discord server as well in that, and there's a lot of great communication there. So coming up here, tomorrow we'll see who else reports. That's Thursday. Friday we'll see who else reports as well. We'll talk about that. Saturday, we'll probably not do a live stream on Saturday. I may do one on Sunday. Saturday I'm going to be busy attending something, so we'll push it off to Sunday. And then Sunday I'm also be joining the BTC mining stock guy on Twitter Spaces. That should be at, I can't remember the time now. I think it's at 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Standard Time. So if you guys want to join there, follow me on Twitter. But that's it. Hope you guys had a great time here. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. I'll see you guys in the next one.